hello, welcome to Gentle Yoga at Noontime. I'm Jeani, your guide for the next hour or so. We are hopefully going to continue our practice of warming up the body, getting our major joints, muscle groups, just hopefully fired up so that we can enjoy a cool down, and we'll meet ourselves in Shavasana at the end of class, and then end class with a breath exercise. So that being said, we'll go ahead and start at the back of the mat. I want to remind you, if you have issues reaching the floor, you can have blocks in your hands. You can climb up on your legs. You can even use a chair at the top of the mat, at the side, wherever you need it in order to kind of hang on. But yes, yes. Any chair without an arm, without arms usually is best. If you're with blocks, that's highly recommended. Sometimes it's just a matter of maybe about a foot or so that you need a little bit of support. And if something is not speaking to you, definitely don't go there. Come back to a comfortable stance, and we can just join up when you're able to. So at the back of the mat, and again, you can have your blocks at any time with you, or you can have them at the top. But at the back of the mat, we're just arriving to class. You don't have to change the nature of your breath. Just notice how you're breathing, how the mat feels under the feet. You can keep a bend to the knees, especially if the back of the legs are tight. And while we're in our home base of mountain, we'll settle in, returning each time to mountain, maybe a little taller, a little longer, stronger. But at the beginning, we'll just focus on the breath. Let's bring our left palm to rest on our chest, right palm under the belly button. For the next few breath cycles, focus the inhale a little slower than you usually do. Give yourself a pause before you start a little slower exhale. And another brief pause before that breath cycle ends and another begins. As the breath cycle gets softer and quieter, we'll finish cultivating the breath with the sound of the ocean at the back of the throat. Go ahead and open up right above the voice box, like you're fogging a mirror, like you're hearing the ocean. On the exhale, gently press the belly hand in, engage your core, help to expel all the air. Feel a little more rooted in your mountain. We'll go ahead and bring our hands to our sides. And with the next inhale, start to root down. Feel the energy at the feet, traveling up the body, lifting up through the spine, through the crown of the head, maybe even beyond. On the exhale, the energy returns, reverse order. And at the bottom of the exhale, just feeling a little more rooted, core engaged. Inhaling, start to shift the center of gravity towards the toes, so that at the end of the inhale, hopefully you're at the edge of that toe tip. Use the next breath, slowly feel the center of gravity shifting at the feet towards the heels to that tipping point. And then we'll go ahead and use the next couple of breaths just to find that heel to toe alignment. Once you're done, return to home. Somewhere above the ankles, near to the heels should be your center. Dropping into the mountain, you can reset by inhaling to lift up towards the crown of the head once more. And then exhale, start to roll towards the outer right edge of the feet. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale to the other side. 3-part breath. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the other side. See if you can keep your legs nice and long. Keep the micro bend if you need. But you're really trying to just move left to right at the soles of the feet. And we'll return to center once more. Go ahead, reset the mountain, inhaling all the way towards the ceiling with the crown of the head. We're making small circles at the ankles that radiate outward towards the perimeter of the feet. Use the next few breath cycles to see if you can reach the very edge of the feet, all around. And it's like your body's a big stick at the ankles, just making those outward movements till we find the edge around our feet. And then we'll circle inward, back towards the ankles, to that sense of center above the ankles, near to the heels. Go ahead and dip down, inhale once more, lifting all the way up. Maybe the legs are just a little longer. Go ahead and make small circles in the opposite direction. Same path, different direction. Notice how it feels. See if you can find the edge once more. And then we'll return to center. Like water going down a drain. Settling back in. Go ahead and lift your feet, especially if you have a tendency to grip the mat. Just release. Shake out the shoulders, shake out the wrists. Give yourself a gentle bounce. We're just going to be moving upwards through the body. Start to shift your weight from one foot to the other. Your feet at the toes might pivot out, but we're starting to shift that weight, and at the very sides, your torso is just shifting as you shift that weight. And just mind that as you move more and more of the torso towards one side, you lift the toes, pivot on the heels gently so you don't torque out your knee. And hopefully your arms are just nice and relaxed. Just that momentum of the torso moving from side to side might move the hands, pendulum-like. And maybe they might tap at the front, the back, the sides, around the hips. And then we'll go ahead and let that peter out and we'll return to center. Bring in the feet once more, about hips distance apart here. Heel to toe alignment. We're going to come on up towards the shoulders. So at this point, see if you can get an internal rotation of the thigh muscles. If you notice your knees are kind of turned outwards, see if you can bring that internal rotation to the legs, lengthen through the legs a little more. See if all points of your soles, if the sole of the feet, all points there can be felt on the mat. The inner arches, the outer arches, the toe, the heel. So that when you lengthen through the legs, you're feeling just a little more length and a gentle tucking of the tailbone. See if you can lift up. And next, palms facing forward. We'll go ahead and inhale. Shoulders just move up towards the ceiling. Exhale, roll them back and let them melt down. See if you can root down through the lower body as well. As you finish your exhale, engage the core. We're doing a total of 4 of these breath cycles. Inhaling up, go the shoulders. Exhaling, rolling them back and down. You might even imagine those triangular points, the bottom of the shoulder blades, resting, sliding down the back and tucking in like angel's wingtips at the bottom of the exhale. I think I have one more round here. And exhaling, fully exhaled. We're going to repeat this set. Inhale upwards, but this time roll the shoulders forward. Still melting down, tucking in into the mid-back at the bottom of the exhale. We're just getting a forward roll this time, but we're still letting the shoulders relax down the back fully. Notice if the soles of the feet are turning out at any point, keeping the bottom of your body nice and stable, while the upper body at the shoulders gives that movement of release. Alrighty, go ahead and roll to the toes, the heels once more, bounce, give anything to reset. We're moving on up to the front of the throat and the crown of the head. Palms facing forward once more, shoulders nice and open, away from the ears. Resetting the mountain, inhaling, feel the crown of the head lifting. On the exhale, just let the right earlobe dip towards the right shoulder until it stops. Inhaling, lift up at the sternum. Exhale, turn the gaze if you haven't already. Just let it fall where it stops. And use the next 3 breath cycles See if you can facilitate the release in the left side, on the left side of your neck with those ocean breaths. Inhales are great for lengthening, bringing that energy all throughout the body, scanning the body. Exhaling is good for releasing. Seeing if you can just rest those eyes a tad bit more on the right side of your vision. After your last exhale, go ahead and inhale the eyes, the gaze. The crown of the head lifts at the top of the inhale. Exhale, left ear towards the left shoulder. Lengthening up through the body with the inhale, turning the gaze, releasing with the exhale. Keeping both shoulders in line as we once more use the next total of 4 breath cycles to see if we can release on the right side of our neck this time. Palms facing forward if they shifted inward by any chance in the transition. Try to keep everything from the shoulders down to the heels. It's a solid column of support as your ocean breath guides you to release on the right side. Fully exhaled on your last breath cycle. Go ahead and inhale the eyes, the gaze. The crown of the head lifts completely at the top of the inhale. Exhale, let the eyes float towards the top of the mat. Landing there, root down with the exhale, engage the core, and continue on another 4 breath cycles total here. Even on the inhale, you should feel that lifting sensation. Maybe a slight diagonal tilt at the crown of the head, but still a verticality. Keep the shoulders nice and open and the chin away from the chest. Should be about a tennis ball size space. And after your very last exhale, we're going to inhale the eyes back up towards the midline, past the midline, and see if you can lift it up towards the ceiling. Once you can see the ceiling, stop craning the neck. Feel that column of support once more. Inhaling, finding that energy. Exhaling, releasing. See if you can open your mouth with a small O, larger O, maybe even a gentle swaying from left to right of the lower jaw. Release any tightness in the jawline. Lull out your tongue if you need to. And see if you're holding tension there. And after your last exhale, go ahead and inhale the eyes back to center. And we'll shake out any residual tension left in that last pose. We'll begin our walking meditation, starting with our folds. Energize the hands, reaching down with the fingers. We're going to extend the arms, inhaling them upwards. And at the top of the mat, step into your foot and lift up with the torso. Exhale, engage the core, stick the tailbone out, and start to hinge us straight back down. Halfway down, you can always walk the hands down or just let the back float down. It's our first forward fold. What we're looking for is just a slow release of the lower back and eventually the upper back all the way to the crown of the head. Maybe you're feeling that nice stretch at the back of the legs, but if it's too tight, keep a gentle bend to a deeper bend so you can feel that hip support from the heels, from the hips all the way down to the heels. Engage the core and feel all points of the feet. And eventually you might find the back releases with just a little more control. Inhaling and exhaling. If you're holding onto your head, you can gently nod your head yes, nod your head no, and hopefully let it dangle once more like a plumb line, but maintaining that hips over the heels support. You can always keep the the forearms on the knees, the thighs above the knees. You can have them on blocks. You can just have them dangling in the air. Now, after our first lengthy fold here in our ragdoll of a fold, we're going to slowly come up by pressing into our feet, engaging the core, including your thighs, and start to slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. You can walk the hands up, but as you're inhaling up, And you can take a couple of breaths if you need to. Last thing to stack at the top of the neck is the head, and you're tucking under the tailbone. And imagine just lengthening through the legs to help bring the torso back on top of the pelvis in alignment. Rolling those shoulders back and down, and arms are nice and heavy. Just let them dangle down and open up the tops of the shoulders. Inhaling once more, reaching downwards. We're extending the arms up, a second fold. Engage the core. Hinge at the hips, bend the knees if you need, stick out the tailbone, and come on down. Float, walk the hands down, come on down for a second fold. This time you might be a little longer, a little closer to the floor. Maybe you're still using your thighs or the bricks, the blocks, whatever you need. But see if you can use the next 3 breath cycles to release through the back. You can bend one knee, lengthen it again, alternate with the other leg, bending it and lengthening it, swiveling the hips slowly side to side. You might hear some popping and crackling. Hopefully that's just your synovial fluid distributing, making it a little more lubricated eventually. All right, so one more slow roll up on the inhale, engaging the core, or you can come out with an engaged core and a strong back. Either one, engaging, pressing into the feet, stabilizing the legs, the tailbone goes down, core is engaged, and the arms can even lift up. Imagine your torso lifted at the hands above the head or somewhat at a tangent, and you can exhale, hands down, heart center, shoulders nice and relaxed. We'll go ahead and start our walking meditation. Pressing into the palms, engaging the core, bringing standing weight to the left leg. See if you can lift up the right heel, lift up the right foot, doesn't have to be big. Exhale, the heel or the mid-foot down. Ball of foot, toes. Fully exhaled here. Engage the core if you feel wobbly. Lift up the left foot on the inhale and exhale that down. It's a slow 1 full breath cycle per step movement. And as you're finding that shift of balance, you can always press into the palms, engage the core if you, for some reason, lost that engagement, and hopefully that'll regain your balance. At the top of the mat, we're going to meet in mountain. Looking down at the fingertips, inhale, press into the palms, watch the fingertips rise, and at the top, we're going to separate the palms, engage the core, feet hips distance apart, bend the knees if you need, stick out your tailbone and float again. Walk the hands down, halfway down if you need, rest your hands wherever you need to. Fully exhaled here, we're going to inhale, press into that contact that you have so you can lengthen through the back, through the backs of the legs, and you have a half lift. If it's a little shorter, that's okay. You just want to lengthen through the back as best that you can. Inhale completely here. Let's exhale. Bend the knees if you need. Bring the hands to the bricks if you need, or down to the floor, either side of the feet. And we're going to step 1 foot back, step the other foot back, and come on down to your high plank. Inhaling shoulders over the wrists, and then letting the shins, the toes untuck, and resting the tops of the shins, tops of the ankles, and your shoulders over the wrists. Giving yourself about 5 breath cycles here. If you have to come out sooner, that's fine. But all we need to do is just splay the fingers, feel the support of the palm, and if it's a little too much on the wrist, just lift up the knees and slide them back just a little bit so they're not completely at a 90-degree angle, your wrists. And you're hopefully having the bottom of your body feeling supported by the tops of the ankles, by the shins. Take one more inhale. We're going to tuck the toes, lift up the hips, exhale, press into those long arms, strong shoulders, and bring the hips back to your down dog. You can adjust your stance between your feet and your hands. You can keep a deep bend to the knees if your legs are very tight. We're hoping for an upside down V, but you might have more of an upside down U, and that's okay. Just press into those long, strong hands. You can be up on the balls of the feet, inhaling, lift up at the core, stick the belly button to the ribs, to the spine. Exhale, let those heels rest
float downward. If they touch the mat, that's great. If they don't, no problem. Just see if you can get that internal rotation of the thighs sticking out of the tailbone. And then we're going to take one more inhale, rolling the eyes towards the hands. Bend the knees deeply if you need. We're going to walk the hands to the back of the mat. Come on up to your fold here. Fully exhaled. Inhale, half lift. Lengthen through the legs as you can. Exhale, fold. And inhale, engage the core. Come on up, your choice. Slow roll up, but either way, engaged core, one vertebra at a time. Hands above the head, lifting all the way up. And then exhale, hands down heart center in our second walking meditation, pressing into the palms, standing weight to the left leg. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale it down. You know where we're going at the top of the mat. One full breath cycle per step. See if you can hear the ocean at the back of the throat. And at the top of the mat, we'll go ahead and look down at the fingertips, pressing into the palms. Inhale, watch the fingertips rise. At the top, we'll separate the palms. Engage the core, hinging at the hips. We're floating down to our fold. Walk the hands halfway down if you need. Fully exhaled in our fold. Inhale, half lift. Spin those sits bones back. Exhale, bend the knees if you need to. Walk the hands to either side of the feet. Walk the feet back. Bend the elbows if you need to. And inhale, straighten the elbows, lengthen through the legs, shoulders over the wrists. We're here for just about 3 breath cycles, pressing into the palms. If you need to come out, you always can. But nice and long, feel that energy from the heels all the way to the crown of the head. The core is engaged, sticking to the ribs, sticking to the spine. Inhale, lift up the hips, press into those long arms, come back to a down dog. Fully exhaled here. Heels can be lifted or not. You can keep a bend to the knees as well. We're lengthening as is available. It's a little shorter time this time, but you can still bend one knee, lengthen, bend the other knee, lengthen. You can walk your dog. Notice if your head is above the arms. See if you can lengthen through the legs, stick up the tailbone, and see if your ears can go somewhere closer to between the upper arms. One more inhale. Let's roll our eyes to the hands. Exhale, bend the knees deeply if you need, and engage the core. Walk the hands to the back of the mat. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Looking downwards. Exhale, fold. Engage the core. Come on up once more. Fully inhaled at the top. Reaching. Exhale, hands down, heart center. And finally down to the side. And just feel your heart. Hopefully you feel a little warmer. And hopefully your joints are just a little more lubricated. Tap out any residual activation in the wrists, in the feet, lift up. It's a great time for some water if you need. And this next portion of our practice is just balance and developing that sense of balance as we're standing. Noticing how our foundation is. And this is a point where I really like to get into the minutia of the stance of mountain here. When we first start, we're just arriving. So things can be really stiff. Things are just, where it is. But with a little exercise warm-up that we just had, we might find that our base is a little more stable. The clarity of where your center is may be more available to you. So standing with our feet right about hips distance apart, we're going to roll again, heel to toe, like we did before. See if you can find your center just a little more. Roll again, side to side, left to right, out and in. See if you have that full points of all your soles, the sole of the feet. Imagine the big toe, the small toe as that 2 points at the top, and the left and right hemisphere of your heel as the bottom, the back 2 points. All 4 points of the soles of the feet, including
feeling that arch if you can. You'll notice whether or not you roll out or roll in. You'll notice whether your knees are pointing forward or if they're rolling out. So a gentle internal rotation at the ankles might help to bring those knees forward. It'll feel weird maybe in the hips, but as you're lengthening, you're engaging hopefully all those internal muscles to lengthen and stack your bones. So I'm going to turn to the side, and as we first start, as is the case for myself usually, you might have more of an anterior tilt. So as we're internally rotating the thighs, pressing down on those big pads under the toes, we can lengthen through the legs just a little bit more, tuck under that tailbone, and bring more of the hip and the knee and the ankles in one vertical alignment, hopefully, and shoulders rolling back and down. Once more, maybe a gentle tuck of the chin. Get more of the ear over the shoulder, over the hip, over the knee, over the ankles. Feel the crown of the head lifting up towards the ceiling. And you might even feel that string as it's lifting. Your legs are lengthening, your feet are rooting downwards. And then that's our mountain. And now with that slight activation of our core, we can relax. If our joints are stacked one on top of each other, it should be a lot easier. So one more deep inhale, lift up through the sternum, gentle tuck of the chin, feel that crown of the head lifting. One more deep exhale, feel that rooting, and we'll go ahead and bring the arms up. Thumbs upwards, inhale up, and we'll stop right about at the shoulders. Inhaling, lift up. See if you can press into the balls of the feet. Get all of the soles of the feet down. Don't hyperextend the knees, but see if you can get that nice and stacked and reaching upwards. And then exhale. Just let the elbows bend. You might have your hands on the forearms. You might have hands over the elbows. Go ahead and inhale, lift up once more. Reach opposite. Elbow, arm, forearm. One more inhale up. And then we're just going to let the arms slowly float downwards. And then somewhere down here, just let them swing. Great. One more inhale up, thumbs upwards. See if you can, at the top, lift up, press down with the feet, tuck under the tailbone, grab a hold of one wrist. You might go this way, you might go that way. Just see how that feels with your shoulders. Lift all the way up. Anchor that same leg, same foot downward. As you lift it up, we're just going to exhale and bend. You're more of that bend here at the armpit. Don't worry about bending at the hip or at the losing that contact between that my left foot, but that standing leg that you've got a hold of that wrist. That's on the bottom. We'll go ahead and inhale all the way back up. Exhale. Let the hands gently come down heart center and release. You can do something like that just to release the top of the shoulders. All right, see if your glutes are engaged. See if you can relax them just a little bit. Bend the knee if you need. Reset your mountain. Engage the core. We're coming up one more time with the arms. You can come forward this time. And then we're going to grab a hold of the opposite wrist. Hopefully you remember. But don't worry. It'll work its way out. Go ahead, lift all the way up. Just keep that foot anchored there and just exhale. Bend a little bit until you stop. You just have your own natural edge there. Breathing, making sure your right foot is anchoring you down. Exhaling, engage the core. Inhale all the way up. And then let the hands come down heart center once more. And somewhere here, just let them drop. All righty. Now, as we're coming here, feel that momentum once more. You can rock on the feet, get your base, your foundation down once more. And this time, we're going to bring out our arms and kind of let this natural swing occur so that we can bend now the elbow here right about chest level. And we're going to let this bottom arm just gently hug under. It's not really an eagle arm. It's just, you're just bringing it here towards the center. Take one more inhale. Feel that outward expansion at the top of the shoulders. And then exhale slowly. See if you can gently hug in your arm, your elbow, just slightly. You don't want to force anything. You'll just naturally have that space or not. We're going to inhale, open up. Exhale, bring the opposite elbow support so that you can fold in that elbow on the other side. And again, inhaling, find that openness at the tops of the shoulders. Exhale, just gently hug in that elbow more if it's available. We're not moving the shoulder anywhere. We're just going from here to here. And if there's a little more, we'll just bring it in a little more. And then we're going to exhale, let the arms just come on down. And you can just gently sway, swerve, twist the torso at the shoulders. Let those hands be heavy, like wet noodles. And then we're gonna open the shoulders once more. And as we're sweeping the arms forward this time, and again, make sure you're stable on your foundation. Hopefully you don't have to think twice too much about that. But as it goes up and down, we're going to meet the hands at the back and see if you can catch them. And I'm just going to turn around. We'll have another opportunity to do this if you like. But as we were doing that, we just went into the back and we just held hopefully a wrist. If that's not possible, maybe fingertips. If that's not possible, just get a hold of a crossed wrists, maybe just at the buttocks. Whatever you can do to get your shoulder, your arm behind that midline of your side. So if you've got a hold of one wrist, we'll go ahead and release. Let the momentum be nice and natural. And then see if you can just grab the other wrist. If you forget, don't worry. It'll just work its way out. Take a deep breath here. Exhale, feel rooted, feel a little bit longer in your mountain with your arms behind you, and then we'll release. Shake out your hands once more, and I believe now we're going to do another resetting of our foundation. Lift up, reset once more, bend the knees, nice and upright. See if you can get that alignment. And it can be imaginary because you don't have a mirror in front of you, but see if you can feel your knee stacking above your ankle, hips over your knees, shoulders over your hips, ear over your shoulder. And we're going to bring those arms out once more. Inhaling deeply, exhale into eagle arms best that you can. You're just going to cross, and then maybe you can get the back of the forearms to meet. If not, you're just working here, just doing something like that. We're going to inhale once more. Find the expansion in the rib cage. Exhale gently. Engage the core. Inhale, release the arms up. Opposite eagle arms. Exhale, just bring them to cross. Maybe they can touch. Inhale here, feel wideness at the tops of the shoulders. Exhale, open once more, and opposite once more. So really dive into that cross this time, so maybe you could get the palms to touch. Maybe fingers can touch, but still keep those shoulders nice and open. Inhaling, elbows are still at about the shoulder length. Exhale, slowly engage the core. Inhale, let's get the arms out. One more deep eagle arm, then just a little farther. Maybe you can get the palms to touch, maybe the forearms. Give yourself a couple of breaths here. Inhale deeply. Feel some openness at the top of the shoulders. Exhaling, engaging the core. And then we'll inhale, untangle ourselves once more, and just pitch forward slightly. Feel that center at the feet go towards the balls of the feet slightly, bending the knees, and you can hopefully just feel a little bit of a forward release in your shoulders. Go ahead and tap out anything. And how are we doing with time? What we want to do next is coming into a low lunge. Oh, one more thing I forgot, and that's why I had the strap here. If you have a strap, if you don't have a strap, That's okay. Bathrobe, any kind of rope, whatever, a sash. You can, if you don't have one, just imagine that you have one in your hand, and all you're going to do is inhale, both arms up, exhale one down so that the strap is somewhat behind you. And then we're going to bend the elbow back behind us and get this left hand, now that it's nice and loose, hopefully you can swing it back behind you. You can bend that left elbow so that it enables your hand to reach across your sacrum. Oh, or maybe even the strap. And as you inhale, we're lifting up through the sternum, feeling that space occur between the elbows, if you can imagine, of your arms as well. But only go to where you can. So if you have the strap there, you can use it to inch the hands towards each other. And we're staying about 3 to 5 breath cycles, just feeling that stretch here. If you have to come out sooner, no problem, go ahead. But if you can feel that openness at the sternum, with each inhale, even a sideways opening at the rib cage. And with each exhale, just slowly engage the core, get the breath out. And then we can release the strap, let the left lower arm down first, and then bring this other arm down as well. Shoulders can be gently rotated up, down, alternately. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'll turn around. I don't know if that really helps here. But we're going to inhale up. It's my right arm going down, back behind. And keep that left arm up. Once you can find that space, you can bend the left elbow. You can bend the right elbow. And find that space on the strap or your imaginary strap. Maybe it's just your hand reaching the back of your head. I've had students where they have such good trap development, neck muscle, shoulder muscle, upper arm strength, but they can't reach the back of their head. So this is oftentimes something that takes a long time for them to learn to be flexible again, to release. And when you're ready, release the lower arm, straighten the upper, and just let that come on down. Roll over, up and around the shoulders, alternately together. Just loosen and let go of any still activated muscles. And then we'll come over to the lunge. Alrighty. Now, one of the things to think about here is if you are really tight in the hips, as I was, it's difficult to get that opening where you can just separate the legs from this midline. If you start here, right, with the chair near you, you can use the chair to support yourself. You can use the chair to give yourself a transition point too. So I'm going to start off with the chair. Here, when we do our low lunge supported by the chair, we're just wanting one of our sits bones to be on the seat of the chair. And if you're doing a low lunge with the blocks, you can just simply get into your low lunge with this right leg as being your front leg. And we're just bringing down our seating situation here. And once you're stable, I put a little blanket here so I wouldn't roll inwards, but you want to make sure both sits bones are in the same alignment. One is not dipping down, one is not dipping up. And also, you can be further back on the chair if you're using that to help you kind of get that 90-degree angle there. We really want to get to a point, though, where you can have that 90-degree angle and feel like you're pressing into that foot so you can support your body. Now, when we're here, we've got two things with the chair. We've got the chair supporting our body so we don't have to work too hard on this front leg stabilizing us. And then we work on releasing through that left hip. So where you are in your low lunge is where you're trying to develop that sitting position where you can stabilize. So you want to make sure that the chair is not completely supporting you. It's there to help you be supported. But if you can start to develop those muscles, you want to be able to start to engage and maybe even feel that intention of lifting up And as you press the sole of the right foot, that stabilizing front foot, in that 90-degree position of the knee, you can focus on where that left foot is. It helps to release through this left hip. Your knee, if it's straight down, you're giving yourself a great extension at the left hip. And you have to sort of support the ball of the foot, so you're still engaging your quad at the same time giving yourself an opening at that left hip. And then we'll go ahead and release. So if you're in this position, you want to stand up. If you're using the blocks, either way, if you're on the chair, you want to release and stand and sit upwards if you need to, but we're going to move to the other side by simply swiveling to the other side of the chair. Now, if you're using your blocks, you can go ahead and come on up and just reposition for the other side. And here, we'll go once more into that position of stabilizing the front leg. This is the left leg for me this time. And as you sit down, you want to make sure that you can feel that stabilizing position on that foot. The left foot, and you're engaging your left glute, the quad, the core is engaged. And as you've got your left arm around the chair to help you if you need to, then you can focus on bringing the right leg, right knee, right foot into alignment. So you might be here and you're opening up your right hip, and this is about as far as you can go. That's fine. Stay here. See if you can press into the ball of your foot, and at the same time release through that right hip, so you'll feel your right quad engaged, the calf, and yet at the same time open up in that right hip. And it's just a slight activation of this left leg position, so you can keep it stabilized. Notice how that feels. You might be in that position where your leg is extending more and you're bringing more of the knee back behind you, and more of the support of that back ball of foot, the right foot's ball, is in support. But when you find that position where you can engage and you're breathing for 3 to 5 breath cycles, you want to engage your right glute and the left leg is engaged. And then when you're done, release. Sit back down, relax on the chair, or if you're standing, go ahead and stand all the way back up, come back to mountain. And what we'll do here, you can have a second round of that same position. If it's something you're just cultivating, stay a little longer in your lunge. If you're transitioning from the chair, you might consider, when we go for our second set, and this time here, see after identifying your position here, see if you can inhale slightly and find your right hip hovering above the seat. So you can transition from using the chair in your low lunge to this position here, and eventually maybe you don't even use the chair, but you're just still here with that chair in mind in case you need a little stability. You could always reach out. You could always sit on the chair if you find that it's too much. But either way, hopefully you're still at that 3 to 5 breath cycle. When you're ready to come out, you can go ahead and sit on your chair if you're just hovering above the chair and transition to the other side. If you're standing, go ahead. We're coming back to our mountain. We're usually cueing to launch from that back foot, so we can bring both feet to the same line, and we'll turn around. Go to the other side. Find that one position once more, whether you're standing with the blocks alone, whether you're on the chair using the chair as your main support, or whether you're transitioning and using the chair as that initial staging area, so you can gradually transition off of the chair, just hovering that left hip above the chair seat. And wherever you are, finding the 3 to 5 breaths. Remember, always finding that stability of the front foot, all points of that front foot, the sole of the feet, as well as the ball of that back foot, and engaging your little glutes. And as you're able to stabilize more, you'll hopefully find your center, your groin, moving downward more. If you're still high and lifted, you're just working towards bringing this front foot into that 90-degree angle. And you could just simply lower downwards. And you'll be strengthening the quads, the glutes, all those stabilizing muscles in your lunge. All right, to come out, we're going to either sit on the chair and come on up after that, or if you're standing, just launch from that back foot, bring both feet to the mountain position. We'll come on down once more, and let's see how we're doing on time. All righty, and then the last one after the lunge is we are coming to deer. So if you're in the chair, once more, you can do deer, or you can come on down to the floor. We'll be sitting on our sits bones and bringing our knees to bend in front of us. But if you're in the chair, just sit with your sits bones somewhere in the middle of the chair, and all you'll be doing is pivoting over to one side. And then just resting your torso on the back of the chair, or wherever you're able to at this point. So, again, and I'll show you in the other direction, you can be here, sort of like in our lunge, but we'll be inhaling and then exhaling to come into deer at the chair. And you're just, here in deer, we're opening up our hips in an external rotation and the opposite hip in a very closed flexed position. If you're down on the floor, we're coming into deer with hopefully some props like a block or a bolster if you need, or you might just use your body and gravity. So sitting on your sits bones, we're just bringing our legs out to our side. And then if you can have one knee behind the ankle of the top leg, you're in this side position here. And with an inhale, we're just getting nice and long in our torso. And with an exhale, we'll just start to twist at the torso. And we might have our right hip lifted highly. The opposite hip of wherever you're twisting into can be lifted. But we're hoping that that foot, the toe and the knee is in the same position. Or if that's too much on your knee, just point the toe behind you with that back leg. But deer is one of those positions where you might have to have the torso upright. If you're able to, you might be able to deepen your deer and just fold and rest the torso downward. You might have that bolster supporting the upper body. You might have blocks. You might just have your forearms. It might be just laying sideways. Hopefully you're not feeling discomfort, pain, but there might be discomfort and tightness that's hopefully getting a little bit of stretching, and that's okay. That's an adaptable. But no electrical pain, nothing that's, giving you that impression that you can't hold this position. Especially in our cooling down poses, the comfort and ease of that hold is very important. You don't want to have the breath shallow. Holding the breath just means it's a little too much, and you can always come back out. Go in with less intensity or just where you can go. So we've been in this twist of deer for a little bit. So to come out, if you have props that you're using, we're just going to mind those props, but we'll lift up with our arms, extending through the arms. And with an inhale, we're just going to start to turn. And hopefully by the time we're back to our front position, you might just be able to windshield wipe your knees to the opposite area and kind of just roll the back of your glutes, maybe even your sacrum, and find yourself on the other side. It's kind of off camera with that, so wherever you are, you might be off your mat at this point, that's okay. So you're just coming in, just lean back a little bit. You'll feel that movement at the back of your glutes, at the back of your sacrum, and you'll just windshield wipe the knees to the other side. And then you can split the legs open as is available to you. And once you find that twist, then it's a matter of coming into that side of the deer and releasing. You might have your torso once more supported by a block, by bolster, maybe no support, maybe it's just your forearms supporting your forehead. But on this side, see if you can find that release in the upper hip. And again, the toes can be pointed. That back leg can have the toes pointed away. If you're feeling tightness on that knee, you don't want to have the foot flexed. It might be better to have the foot pointing away from you. And I actually think this was the side I was doing before. And once you find that edge, just breathe. 3 to 5 breath cycles to find your edge. And then breathe once more, 3 to 5 times, breath cycles. See if you can hear the ocean at the back of the throat. You can always reach an arm out too if that range is available to you. And you'll find this tremendously good stretch all along the side of your waist, your rib cage, the armpit, up to the fingertips on that side. And as you approach your very last breath, coming out of this as well, mind your props. But we want to bring up the hands under the shoulders, bring up the torso. Inhale, start to twist the torso back to center, bringing the leg out in front of you. We'll meet in a brief staff position. And go ahead and just rock on your glutes side to side. Then, sitting upright, you can rock just the legs. And the feet might just look like they're waving at you. You can move them away from each other. You can have them knock inward. You can bring them back to center, bounce the knees slightly, point the toes, flex the feet, wiggle your toes. If you can reach them, go ahead and touch them. Mine feel cold. So wiggle them, do what you need to, and then we're going into Shavasana. And that's just you being on your back, if that's comfortable for you. If you're on the chair, remain in your chair in a comfortable seated position. We want our back supported either by the floor or by a good posture if you're seated upright in a chair. So come on down to your back. I'm going to sit upright to mind the time. And as you are coming into your Shavasana, you might have your palms facing up, arms extended at your side. If it feels more comfortable to have the palms down, do so. Just see what feels good for you. Your feet might be together, your legs might be apart, toes pointed towards the corners of the mat, and then just relaxed, and they go where they do, where they will. But as you're laying on your back, if you find any compression to the lower back, you might need a rolled blanket. You might need a folded blanket underneath the small of your back. You might need something behind your neck. If your hips are super tight, people can put a bolster under your knees. You can
not have the knees supported by anything, just let them bend like in bridge and have them kind of knock inward. Many things you can do to get yourself ready. Put a blanket if you'd like. But as you're laying down, belly is soft. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. See if you can soften the brow line. And for the next few minutes, enjoy Shavasana until you hear the bells. Bringing the mind back to the body. Take note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, make any movements that brings you back into your body vessel. And we'll meet in an upright position, easy seated, one shin out in front of the other, or you can sit in a hero position if you'd like. But we'll end our class with an alternate breath exercise to help rebalance the body. And sitting nice and tall, we'll just bring our hands to these hand positions, but if your hands are bothering you and you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Left hand is typically a chin mudra position, just the index and thumb touching, resting that on the left thigh. Right hand, Vishnu mudra, which is just the middle and index finger touching the mount of the thumb. We're going to close our right nostril with the right thumb, left nostril with the ring fingertip. If that's too much to hold, you can always keep the two brow fingers here and make the right nostril close with the thumb, but the right ring finger knuckle with the left nostril. See if that helps. Taking a nice deep breath, inhaling. Close the right nostril. With the thumb, exhale slowly. Fully engaged core at the bottom of the exhale. Inhale slowly. Expand the chest, hold, close, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Last round. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Release the right hand. Release all the mudras. And just let the breath come back to its natural state. Bringing hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining us here at the ACC's Community Room. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.